Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry, 24/7 shopping available. 160920 is the code. Show her some love, like she showed us.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Coast to Coast Entertainment Network. I am Ace, and you're watching another episode of the Biggie Skinny featuring Messaround show. And of course, I am Skinny. There's Biggie, and then of course we have Mr. Messaround. So Biggie, how you doing tonight? I think you're on mute, my man.
Yep, see, I turned my microphone off, and then it looks red, and I'm like, that's a pretty color, and then I start talking, and I don't hit the green, which means go. No, I'm doing all right. It's going pretty well tonight.
All right, and then of course we have Mr. Messaround there at the bottom. So Messaround, how are you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm good. I just finished dinner. I actually got a nap today, so that was nice.
So it sounds like you're having a great day too. I love it. I love it. I love it. Because that's right. The show is back. We are back in the funky fresh. We are here. We've missed doing this show, but it's finally back. And you know what? It's fantastic to be back. So our first thing, we're going to talk about here. J-Mac, I know you've been wanting to talk about this. I've been wanting to talk about it because I feel your frustration. My frustration is there. I mentioned yesterday a little bit. Your thoughts, okay? And you probably know where I'm going to end up going with this. It's a guy by the name of Dansby Swanson. So you tell me, because this is what I see, okay? I saw a post the other day that a guy said, you know what, for all you Atlanta fans that are complaining about Swanson, he's like, give me two shortstops in the league that's going to be an upgrade over Swanson. I'm like, I can give you five or six. So J-Mac, you tell me, what's your thoughts on Dansby Swanson?
I can give you five better offensive shortstops. Defensively, he is actually really good defensively.
Yes.
But that's not enough to be at the plate and strike out, 50% of your at-bats. It might be over 50% now. First guy since 1913 to strike out 3 straight seasons, maybe it's 4 straight seasons of 10 games in a row to start the season. Here's the problem with Swanson, and here's why he still plays. Okay, he is he's better than this guy, I'm going to say, but the numbers are around the same. So defensively, Dan Uggla was a huge liability for Atlanta. He sucked at second base, okay? He made a lot of errors. Dansby's good defensively, but the offensive numbers remind me a lot of Dan Uggla, okay? He doesn't hit forever, and then he gets on like a 30-game run where he just hits the ball, and it seems like he never gets out. Because if you remember, Dan Uggla had that where he was batting like 178, and then he hit in like 33 consecutive games or something. And anyway, the offense reminds me a lot of that. But we could look other places. We should be playing Orlando Arcia right now because the guy is on a tear. The guy is just tearing it up. And he got to play for Riley on Wednesday. That was good to see that he can play third base when Riley's gone. Riley's not going to miss too many games, by the way. Riley will be out there. He'll probably miss tomorrow. He might miss the weekend series. After that, he probably won't miss a game the rest of the year.
Arcia is a natural shortstop, though. Like, that's his true position, is a shortstop.
Oh, he is, and he's played some left field this year. I mean, we can't really discredit Arcia for what he's done because he's actually played well everywhere he's played, and he's hit the ball. Last year he didn't hit; he's hit this year. But Dansby Swanson, the guy drives me crazy, man.
Right.
I know I'll just send texts out to Skinny sometimes. It's, dude, Dansby sucks. Why is he still playing? Then what'll happen is he'll strike out, and then you go to the next inning, and he makes this over the back catch, tumbling into the outfield, and you're like, oh yeah, that's why he's playing.
It is, but here's the stat though. We talked about this yesterday. Okay, the guy has had It's been 46 at bats this season. He struck out 24 times. So he's got 6 hits. 4 of them are doubles, but he's got 6 hits. He's 6 for 46 with 24 strikeouts and 4 doubles. And Swanson is trying to say it was due to lack of spring training. Okay, I get that there wasn't a lot of at-bats in spring training, but this is not just a one-year occurrence for Dansby.
No, it's not. Unfortunately, it's not.
This is an every year occurrence for Dansby. But I, for one, as an Atlanta fan, I will say the other thing that I was happy for is today when I woke up this morning, I turned on the TV, I looked at my screen, and I'm like, Atlanta traded Sean freaking Newcomb. Thank you. I was waiting for that forever. Like, I got tired of him continuing to bring Sean Newcomb in games. I was like, this is ridiculous, man. Like, he comes in games, he walks everybody. People just lock in on him or whatever. So they traded him, and now we got Jesse Chavez back. So Jesse Chavez
I was thinking about this the other day about Swanson. And to me, I don't know, I could be wrong, but he reminds me of a lot of Andrelton Simmons or whatever his name is for you guys years ago.
Yeah.
Great in the infield, great shortstop, but he couldn't hit a lick. He's not without the strikeouts. I don't think he struck out nearly as much as Swanson, but he reminds me of that because they both couldn't hit, but they were both awesome fielders.
I'll tell you, the last great shortstop, the last great dual player shortstop that the Braves have actually had was Rafael Furcal. He was the last great dual shortstop that we actually had, a guy who could hit infield. He was the very last one. Other than that, other than Rafael Furcal, we haven't had anything since as far as a dual that could hit and field. Other than that, we didn't have anybody else. We either have a shortstop who can field really good, or we have a shortstop who can hit really good and can't field for crap. So it's been kind of hit and miss.
Too bad you guys didn't have an awesome shortstop like Tim Anderson.
But I'm telling you one thing as a Braves fan.
Yo, that ain't gonna get you. That ain't gonna get you very far when you got pitchers like Dallas Keuchel on the mound.
I know. Yeah, you're right about that.
I'm telling you, anybody? It's early in the season as a Braves fan, so I'm not going to panic. I'm not panicking. I'm not going to hit the panic button yet. It's early in the season. You know, I understand that Morton right now struggling, but it's early. It's early. He'll get back on track just fine. I mean, Max Fried struggled at the beginning too, and then he came out and dominated the Dodgers. So
yeah, I mean, he was perfect through what, 6?
Yeah, so Max Fried is back on track. So I think Morton's going to be just fine. I just think he's got to clear some things up. And I'll tell you what, Kyle Wright has been pitching freaking ridiculous. Kyle Wright has been an absolute beast.
You know who I would? You know what I wish they'd do? Honestly, I wish we'd start Strider. My God, that kid can throw the ball.
He can, but I don't think he's ready to be a starter yet. I don't think he's quite ready.
All I'm saying is the 2 games I've watched him in, he pitched 4 innings in each game out of the bullpen. 4. He threw like 65 pitches once and like 68 pitches the second time. That's a starting pitcher.
That's
right
impressive.
There.
Alder's been fine though, but Alder's been good though too.
Elder's been good, but what I'm saying is Strider threw 100 on his first pitch, and he was still throwing at 102 on his 68th pitch in the game. Like, he's still firing the ball.
Wow.
And let's not forget, Ronald Acuna isn't back yet either. So once Ronald Acuna comes back, we're going to be just fine. And Brandon saying just ride the back of Will Smith to another
shut the
title.
hell up, Brandon.
You know what? But the thing is we don't need him because we have Jansen now. He's our closer. He's our closer now.
So I'll switch it up on that a little bit. Mess around. I have a question. What did you think of? Did you see in the game when Jansen came in against the Padres and he was warming up and the umpire just stood in front of home plate and wouldn't let him throw another pitch?
Oh yeah, he was heated. He was.
Who was that?
Kenley Jansen for the Braves. He was playing against the Padres, and he ran in and was doing his warm-up pitches. He let him throw 3 warm-up pitches, and then the umpire went and stood in front of the catcher and said, "You're done. Batter up."
Are you serious?
Yeah. And then Jansen is on the mound, and Jansen's like, "What the hell's that?" And the umpire's like, "I warned you." And Jansen's like, I'm saying, what the hell is that? I can't throw anymore. And then Snitker comes out, and Snitker's like, "What is this?" And the umpire's like, I warned him. I gave him time. And Jansen's like, "I have to walk a mile across the field to get to the mound, and you're giving me a certain amount of time." So
That is crap.
But
well, it's because the Padres have the only stadium in baseball where the bullpen is out of center field. So he had to walk from center field to the pitcher's mound and try in a commercial break between innings and get his warm-ups in.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And,
I mean, are most bullpens in right field, left field?
They are. They're either right field or left field, or like right on the side, like really close. So when the bullpen comes out, like it's super close. But what's so funny is he comes in, he pitches great, he gets a save, he gets done, and then as soon as he gets a save, he walks back to the umpire and starts giving to him again. And then I was like, the game's over, dude. And he's like, dude, they're still like, tearing up the umpire, and I'm like, dude, the game's over.
He didn't get the same opportunities all the other guys got to warm up. I mean, it's only fair. You got to walk, like you said, you got to walk a mile to get up there to warm up.
So, Brandon, I get what you're saying, that there's a time frame for warm-up pitches, and there is. I get it. But and San Diego, they have to figure it out, because the pitchers have to walk a long ways to get to the pitcher's mound. So how's that fair to pitchers when they only have a certain amount of time, but they have to walk a mile to get to the pitcher's mound? Like that
doesn't make sense at all.
It doesn't. It really doesn't make sense. But before we go too much into depth on that, J-Mac, I was going to ask you, I know your Spurs made the playoffs. They didn't go down without a fight. They did. They did okay in the play-in game. I know they didn't win, but they didn't go down without a fight. So let me ask you, are you still okay with the way that the season went?
Oh, absolutely. I think there's a couple other games that we could have won during the season, but I don't think it would have changed our playoff positioning. We still would have been 9th or 10th in the West. The problem is that we don't have a premier player. Now, Jamonte Murray he's a good player. He made the All-Star game, so I mean he is a good player. Either of you sons of bitches about to bring up Keldon Johnson?
I was going to. God. Okay, I was going to say
we're not Brandon.
Yeah, I was going to say
really,
let's not
really
that Keldon Johnson made the Olympic team.
Yeah, I looked up the research on that, by the way, because I bring it up all the time, and I think that had to do more with Popovich was the coach. And he knew who was available during that time off the Spurs, and he needed another player. So, but Keldon Johnson's not even our second best player on the team. Like that's the part. Like McDermott is probably our second best. Maybe Jacob Patel would be our second. But there's 2, 3. But Jamonte Murray is definitely our top player. I think we're going to be okay. I think that we can get. I think that we can bring in a couple free agents and we could be okay. It's rebuilding time in San Antonio. I hate to say that. I just hope it doesn't turn out.
Who would you like to see? Sorry to cut you off, but who would you like to see as our next coach with Pop stepping down?
Well, he hasn't officially stepped down yet.
Well, if he does,
he's going to. I mean, all of us Spurs fans see the writing on the wall. He got the all-time wins record this year. He has nothing left to prove. He's won 5 championships. There's nothing this guy has left to prove as a coach. By the way, I found some stats. So, when he took over, they have a bunch of stuff like LeBron was 12.
Wow.
when Popovich took over, I mean, it's one of those things. Like Jordan was still playing. It's just interesting, all this stuff. But who would I like to see as the next coach? That's a tough one. I think it's got to be a teacher, a coach who teaches the game. the fundamentals and all of that.
What about Duncan?
I think Duncan. I think he'd do all right. He's the big fundamental. I mean, there's nobody I don't think anybody in the game of basketball that understood the game better than Tim Duncan did. That he made his whole career off of that.
I mean, wasn't he on Pop staff?
Oh yeah, he is. We lost Becky Hammond. I would have loved to see her be the first female coach in the NBA, right? But she went to the WNBA.
Yeah.
And what is this? Brandon J-Mac is not right about the second best player in the Spurs. He is the best Spur. I don't even know what that's supposed to mean.
Get you going.
No, he's talking about Keldon Johnson.
Yeah, he's trying to get you going.
That he's telling you that Keldon Johnson is the best Spurs. But Dave is saying, why call the Padres when they don't have a Padre on their team?
Okay, Coke. Thanks for that.
Way to go, Coke.
And then
so I guess to answer your question, mess around. I would like to see someone like Mark Jackson. I'd be okay with Mark Jackson being our next coach. Mark Jackson, Tim Duncan would be probably the two shortest on my list.
I would go with Duncan. I'd like to see Duncan get a shot.
You know what? So the thing with Duncan that a lot of people were talking about with Tim Duncan is people were bringing up going, how has Tim Duncan never been considered a top 5 NBA player?
Top 5 in my book.
And you know what? I don't like Skip Bayless a lot. Like I listen to Skip and Shannon in that, and I've never been a true fan of Skip, but Skip Bayless is the one that when he talks about his list, when I listen to his list, I'm like, well, he might be onto something here, because number one is top 5. He didn't have James, which made me super happy. I was super happy. He did not.
Yes.
And Christy, you may hate Skip Bayless, but when you heard his top 5 list, I'm like, it's great, because he had MJ in there. He had Magic Johnson. He had Tim Duncan. And who else did he had? Jordan, Tim Duncan, Magic Johnson. I believe he had. No, he did not have Kobe.
Wow. He
had Bill Russell, I do believe, which you kind of have to put. I don't know how you can't put Bill Russell in there. Like, the dude has 11 freaking championship rings. Like, if people want to go off rings, you have to go with it. And Warren Morlow, thanks for stopping in. He's saying Skip is the true heel of sports. He is. He's a true heel. Like, people hate to listen to. There's a lot of crap I don't agree with Skip on. There's just not a lot that I don't agree with. But this top 5 list for NBA, I agree with it, because Skip is like, how can you not have Tim Duncan in your top 5?
All right, let's put you on the spot. Here's your top 5.
Mine?
Yep.
Oh boy. Jordan, Kobe. Now let me say though, there's no particular order in this. No particular order. So my top 5, Jordan, Kobe, let's go Duncan, let's go Magic Johnson. So see, Jordan, Kobe, Duncan, Magic Johnson, and let's go Wilt Chamberlain. Those are my 5. All right. I'm going to put you on the spot, Dave.
Okay. I got it. Jordan, Kobe, Shaq. You got to have the most dominant big man on your team. Duncan, and then I'm going to go with Larry Bird.
So Christy's saying that Bill Russell is a GOAT. Now, to us, we've always said there's no such thing as a GOAT, but you can put Bill Russell up there because of how many championships he has. But his was between not only playing, but his was also between coaching, though, too. So Biggie, what would your top 5 list be for NBA?
Top 5. We're talking all time then, correct?
Yeah.
All time.
All time. You got Magic at the point. I think there's never been a better point guard than Magic Johnson. At the 2, I got Jordan. I'll always have Jordan. He'll never anyone else but Jordan. The 3 is hard. Because there's been there's been a lot of good players there at the 3. So for me, even though he's probably a 2 guard, 3 pound per pound, Allen Iverson's the greatest basketball player ever. Just for me, pound for pound. So I have Iverson in there. Then I have Duncan, and I have Kareem. I have Kareem at 5. And the reason I have Kareem at 5 is because he created a shot in which to this day has still never been figured out how to block it.
You talking about the sky hook?
The sky hook.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we do have a few lists that are going up here. Christy's saying MJ, Kobe, Duncan, Magic, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And so Dave Koch is saying, what? Not Larry Bird? Well, the thing is I want to put Larry Bird up there, but I'm looking at my list going, who am I going to put Larry Bird over? Like, I don't know who I would put Larry Bird over at this point on my list, because I can't put him over Jordan. I can't put him over Kobe. I really can't put him over Duncan. I really can't put him over Magic Johnson and Wilt Chamberlain. I mean, come on. Wilt Chamberlain had the greatest NBA season of all time. Like, the year he averaged 50 points a game. Who's going to come close to that? I mean, so it's going to be close. And then Warren saying Jordan, Kobe, McGrady. I that's a shocker. I was not expecting somebody to put Tracy McGrady up there.
The only thing I got to say about McGrady is if he doesn't get hurt, he might be the greatest basketball player of all time. I'm not. I no joke about that. McGrady might be the best ever if he doesn't get hurt.
Oh,
and then because you could go into the top 10. Like Shaq is just outside the top 5 for me, because I could go him or Kareem. Honestly, Shaq was a beast. I'd have Kobe right there, closer to the top 10, and then someone that everyone forgets about, a player who was around forever, Vince Carter.
Oh, Vinsanity.
Yeah. Okay, let me ask you this, though. So we talk about, since we just talked about, our top 5 list here, which Dave is also saying, Clyde Drexler, he's talking about him. And then Christy Wilson is saying, if there was a top 10, she would put Larry Bird over there. But let me ask you this, because there's always been a debate on, if you talk about the greatest, purest 3-point shooter of all time, people are going with Steph Curry because of what he did in the NBA. But let me ask you this. At what point would you match him up with none other than Mr. Reggie Miller?
Well, I'll say this. I think that Curry is the greatest shooter ever in NBA history.
Absolutely.
No doubt.
Absolutely.
Hands down, there's no argument to that. The greatest shooter ever. But Reggie Miller could kill you. I mean, honestly. He scored what? That game, didn't he score 11 points in like 13 seconds in a game one time? I mean, it was insane. Yeah. And you're going to tell me Curry could do that? No, because they got to go inside out now and set everything up. Like, Miller scored 11 points in 13 seconds. That'll never be done again. That won't even get touched.
And the one thing that I really, really liked about Reggie Miller, the key thing that I really liked about him, is Reggie Miller could have went on so many so-called super teams, and Reggie said, I'm not doing it. I refuse to join a super team. I refuse to stay. I'm staying on the team I'm on. I'm never joining a super team.
They didn't do that back in the day. You didn't do that.
They wanted to beat each other.
Well, yes and no, because the Celtics back then were kind of a super team. I mean, the Celtics were loaded.
But that wasn't until 2008, 2007.
No. Think back to like
McHale and Bird and Parrish and
okay. I mean, that's the 80s. But era. My favorite interview of all time with any NBA player is they asked Reggie Miller. They said, if Jordan called you and said, come to Chicago and win a championship, what would your answer have been? He said, my answer would have been 7 letters long. Okay, we can all guess what those 7 letters are. It starts with an F and ends with a U. And he said, "I'll see you when you come down to Indiana, so I can kick your ass again." Like that's what his answer would have been.
Yep.
Yeah, because that's truly what I respected about Reggie Miller. The truth is right there. Like Reggie Miller had that loyalty because he never joined a super team. And yes, you can consider the Celtics back, the 60s and 70s. Those were super teams. When you talk about the Showtime Lakers, you could kind of consider them a super team. Like they were.
Back then, most of those guys were drafted to the team. They weren't traded or signed there.
They were. They definitely were there. And so that's why I'm saying though. And like the other thing is like people were talking about how, Michael Jordan said, bring this guy in, but Jerry Krause, he came out and said, Michael Jordan never once told me to ever bring in any of these players. He never asked me to. He's like, I just did it. I wanted to build a championship team, so I did it. But he never asked me to bring in any of these players.
Even back when they brought in Rodman, Krause went to Jordan and Pippen and Jackson. Was like, what do you think about me bringing in Rodman? And they're like, do it.
Yeah, but he never said, this is who I want.
Yeah,
he never told him to go out and get him.
Well, then the one thing you have to respect about Rodman, that he came out in the interview and they asked him about Jordan, and he said, it's the one guy in my life that I've respected in the NBA.
Yeah.
He let me go to Vegas, and then he came and got me, and if anyone else had come, I wouldn't have went back. But because Michael showed up and said, we got a game to go to, I got on the plane and went back with him.
Yep, Michael walked into his hotel room, so you get your ass up, we got a game to play, let's go. And he did.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
that's kind of how it went. But, when we talk about, like the greatest shooters of all time, and we sit here and we mention, Steph Curry, we talk about Reggie Miller,
Ray Allen.
Now Ray Allen was one of the clutchest ones. Clutch. Yeah, he was definitely clutch. Ray Allen and Big Shot Bobby Messaround. I don't know what the heck's going on. But you're beeping. But Big Shot Bobby was definitely a clutch player too. But I'm talking about back in the days of like Larry Bird and everything. All those 3-point shots were more of a novelty shot. Like the 3-point shot didn't really exist. It was there, but they never really did it.
Right. If you go back to Jordan's 63-point game in the playoffs against the Celtics, you know how many threes he took? None.
Yeah. The thing is, though, is like people sit there and say, "Can Jordan shoot threes?" Like, absolutely, he can shoot threes. Ask the Blazers in that one game when somebody's like he can't shoot threes, and then he hits like 9 of them, and he's like, "What? I can't shoot threes?"
Yeah, that was great.
Like, I can't shoot threes.
I mean, if you watch the Last Dance. What was always funny is you would hear the opposing guys be on the interviews. They're like, you're sitting there and you hear these guys go up to Jordan and be like, that's right. I just stuffed you in your face. And all the guys on the bench are like, oh, shit.
Right? You shouldn't have said that.
You shouldn't have said that. What'd you say that for? And he's like, yeah, but and they're like, dude, he's about to just destroy us, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of what it was. Now, Christy also brings up, a good point though too, because we talk about how good Michael Jordan was as a shooter, Larry Bird, Reggie Miller, Ray Allen. We talk about them as a great shooter. Now, I don't care what anybody thinks about this individual's character or whatever, but Dennis Rodman, man, that dude would dominate the glass better than pretty much anybody in the game. Like, if you talk about one of the greatest rebounders of all time, Dennis Rodman is it.
You're not wrong. I saw a stat for him that said Dennis Rodman, 20-plus point games in his career, 10, 20-plus point games. 20-plus rebound games, 213.
Yep.
213 times he had 20-plus rebounds.
You know how many games he could score 20 easily? A lot off of tip-ins or rebounds or whatever, just gone right back up there, but he always kick it out.
Yeah, because he never needed to shoot the ball. His job was to go up and rebound every time.
I remember they talked about they said Rodman's first game in Chicago, like The first game he's in there with Jordan put up like 43 points. Pippen had, I don't know, 35, something like that. They're like, Rodman had 29 rebounds. He knew what his job was coming into Chicago.
Well, yeah, because you heard a lot of people, though, talking about how it was intimidating being in the post with Dennis Rodman. Like, nobody wanted to be down low with Rodman because they were so afraid of Dennis Rodman because he would destroy you underneath. He would do whatever it took to go up and get that rebound. Like, he wasn't afraid of anybody. He would go up and get it. And that's what I respected about Rodman. You can hate his character, whatever. You can hate it. But
he was definitely a student of the game too, because like he would study for hours, like the trajectory, the way the ball is coming out the rim, you know, where to go and get it, things like that, the nuances of rebounding. He did that. He crafted that. He perfected it. So he knew where the ball was coming off the rim, which way it was going to go, and stuff like that.
Right. Right. Yeah. And so Warren, Brandon saying Rodman was my idol. Warren saying Rodman is still the best post player. I mean, I would put it there, and to be perfectly honest, I honestly don't even think it's close. Like, to be perfectly honest, I don't even think it's close. And
the crazy thing is you know, they talk about how good Dwight Howard was in his prime and Shaquille O'Neal rebounding. Rodman was like 6'9". He's like 6'8" or 6'9". He wasn't even 7 foot tall. He wasn't one of those big players in the post.
They used to say about him too, like he would jump twice before you jumped once for a rebound.
Yeah. he was fantastic. Now, here's some interesting news. Speaking of, you know, Shaquille O'Neal, this was said today that Shaquille O'Neal came out and said he would coach the Lakers if they gave him about like $20 million.
Just give me the bag, I'll coach.
And he'd come out and coach the Lakers. Can you imagine Shaquille O'Neal coaching a Lakers team with LeBron and Anthony Davis on the team?
Oh yeah, I could. And you know why? Because Shaq wouldn't take no shit.
No,
he wouldn't either.
Shaq would be like, it's my team, it's my way or the highway, and we just do it the way I want to do it.
You know, the greatest thing about Shaq is he used to tell all the stories he's told about Kobe. I mean, if you've ever heard any of those, he was talking about the day that Kobe gained his respect is Kobe kept just shooting it in his rookie year. And these guys are like, Shaq, talk to him, man. Talk to him. Tell him I'm open. And he goes up and he's like, look, Kobe, you know, there is no I in team. And he's like, no, but there's an M and an E in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shaq's like, he gained my respect that day. And then he's like, so then I go back to the guys and they're like, so what'd he say? He's like, well, I guess you're going to have to get it off the rebound. Like that's
right. Yeah. Yeah.
That's funny.
There is. And Brandon, answer your question, Biggie. He said that Rodman was 6'7", so he was even shorter than what we were originally saying. So he was a short guy. He wasn't even really all that tall, and he was still out rebounding everybody. And
by
then
NBA standards, yeah, that's short for his position, but for me, that's pretty tall.
Well, no, but for his position, that's short.
Yeah.
And Warren saying, give him the bag. You know what? If you want somebody to turn the Lakers around, he would probably do it, because like if these guys came up and talk crap to Shaq, he'd be like, hey, look, it's going to be my way or it's going to be the door. So we either do it the way I want it done. We're going with the rotations the way I want it. I'm not going to be here any complaining. This is my team. Are the doors right there? It's your choice.
You know that's never going to happen though, right? You know why?
Because
LeBron will never let anyone come into LA that has a bigger reputation than he does.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
He'd be talking and LeBron would start to say something like, shut up, this is my team, I'm talking.
Exactly. And they would butt heads a lot. And so I think that would be kind of a big problem. And Warren's saying they would get free Papa John's. Papa
Well,
John's.
Christy said what she feels about LeBron. Yeah, she just put that out there.
Well, the thing is look, this, okay, none of us have ever denied his talent, okay? None of us have ever come out and said, he's a bad basketball player or whatever. We've said, is he the greatest of all time? No. But the thing that I question the most is this. You have a guy who, the Lakers are 2 games out of the playoffs with 4 to play. And you have a guy who's like, my foot hurts. I'm sitting out. You would have Kobe Bryant on a 17 freaking win Lakers team with 4 games left, and his shoulder is wrapped up with ice, and his knees are wrapped up with ice. He's got his jersey on, and he's playing. And he comes out on the bench, ices his shoulder, ices his knee, and he's right back on the floor and playing. And I'm like, if you want to be considered either on Jordan's level or Kobe's level, this is the type of player you have to be. You can't be like, okay, well, there's 4 games left and we're out by 2 games, so I'm gonna sit. No, man, you have to have that Mamba mentality. If you want to show everybody how good you are, you got to go out there and be a leader and actually damn well play the game when something's on the line.
What turned me off from being a LeBron fan is like, I don't remember the year, but he was with the Cavaliers. They were playing the Celtics, and I think it was like game 6 or 7, and it's like second half. They're down by a few, and then the Celtics go on a 10-0 run, and LeBron pretty much checked out from then on.
Oh, yeah.
Celtics ended up winning, and he didn't say to shake hands. He left.
This is the thing, though, because, you can even look at the NFL. Think about Brett Favre. Okay, if there was 4 games to go and there were 2 games out of the playoffs and Brett Favre had a hurt foot, do you think Brett would be like, oh, I'm on the sidelines. I'm just going to rest here on the sidelines?
Nope.
Dude, there is no way. Okay, there is no way. Remember,
he played that game with a broken leg if he had to. Crap.
I know. I remember a game in Minnesota, like he threw the ball and he hit his hand off of the Minnesota Vikings helmet, the guy's helmet. His index finger went sideways, completely sideways on his hand. I remember that. He goes over to the sidelines, he pops it back into place and tells the coach to tape it to his next finger and finishes the game. Like
you pretty much say, check this out.
LeBron would have sat out for 2 weeks with that.
How swollen this thing is. This thing's jacked. Tape it up.
Oh man,
like it's crazy. But you don't see those athletes anymore. You don't see them anymore. And I don't know if you ever truly will. I don't think you will. But I guess we can go ahead and we can touch on just a little NHL. We don't have to touch on too much because I know none of our teams are making the playoffs. Like not even Red Wings was so close, but now our captain Larkin is out for the season. He's not playing anymore. I thought at the beginning of the season, I thought there was a little bit of hope because the Red Wings came out good. I'm like, okay, there's a little bit of hope here. And then nosedive, and then Larkin gets hurt, and I'm like, okay, well, there goes that. I guess that's it. And mess around, you Chicago Blackhawks.
Hey, they finally did the right thing. They made some trades. They got rid of some people. They didn't completely blow it up like I hoped they would, but they're in the right direction. They're gonna rebuild, and hopefully in the offseason they get rid of Jonathan Taves and Kane and get some more picks. It's time to blow it up.
It's time. But I'm telling you right now, call me crazy, but this year, my pick to win it all right now, I'm going out on a limb and I'm saying this, call me crazy. I think it's going to be Florida. I think it's Florida.
I'm going with the Hurricanes.
Hurricanes are good too.
That's not a bad pick, but I got to go with Florida, man. Florida's really good. They're a really good team.
They are good. They are good. Colorado Avalanche.
That's
I
a
think
good pick too.
They're a very underrated team coming into the playoffs, in the Stanley Cup playoffs. So I think we're going to see that. The only other thing I have to say about hockey is, when I die, I hope that I can hire some Red Wing players to be my pallbearers so they can let me down just one last time.
Right. One more time. Yep, one more time. That's all it's got to be. Just
I can
one
say the
more
same
time.
thing about my Bears, man.
But
by the way, do you know the only team in the NFL history to not have a quarterback pass for 4,000 yards in a season
Or 30 touchdown passes?
or 30 touchdown passes? It's both the same team. It's the Chicago Bears.
It is.
So,
and that's insane because they had Jay Cutler, who we all know was not a great NFL quarterback, but he was better than Troy Aikman.
He
who's
was
in the Hall
yeah.
of Fame, and he still couldn't do 4,000 yards and 30 touchdowns. He might in his career, he might have thrown 30 touchdowns to the Packers at some point. I think.
Maybe. All the big fixes, yeah.
But
the Packers were sad to see the Bears let him go.
Oh, for sure.
But I will tell you one thing though, about NHL before we transition here was the one thing I was sad for because I knew that the Red Wings weren't going to make it. The one team that I was truly going for because they had been crappy for so long and they were finally on that uphill swing was the Maple Leafs. I thought that they were going to be a good team. And then what do? Then they start choking again. And I'm like, great. The one time that I think that Toronto's going to actually do something and now they're going downhill again. And I'm like, God dang it. Like what? Like, let me ask you, would it suck? What would suck more? Would it suck more to be a freaking Pirates fan, to be a Maple Leafs fan, or would it suck more to be a Lions fan?
I would go with the Lions because they're never winners. They've never won nothing.
Yeah.
I got to go Lions.
Okay. You know what?
I mean, the reason is, and I'm with Dave on this one, the reason is because they can go out and get good players, and you're like, oh, maybe this is the year for them. If you're a Pirates fan, you just signed a guy this year to the biggest contract in team history, and he's making $9 million a year.
Right.
Like, that they've never signed anybody. They've never been good. So it's got to be the Lions because they can go out and sign 3 or 4 free agents. You think it's their year, and then the guy breaks his leg in the first snap of the preseason game.
All right, so let me ask you this: since the NFL draft is next week, and we won't get a chance to reconvene and kind of talk about it beforehand, so we can kind of talk about a little bit of the draft tonight and kind of how we see it going down. We can kind of mention our favorite teams, what we think they're going to do in the first round, then kind of mention a few other teams, but we'll start with our takes on our favorite teams. So you guys know that myself and Biggie are Packers fans. Messaround, as you can clearly see, is a Bears fan. So for me personally, if we don't trade for a receiver either before the draft, we could do it on the day of the draft. We could trade for like a Metcalf or Debo, but it can't be a ridiculous price. It can't be a price. But if we don't, Chris Olave, I think we should draft him at 22 and then 28. Call me crazy, but this is what I would do. This is seriously what I would do. If I'm Green Bay, I go with Chris Olave at 23, 28. I go with an edge rusher. Okay, I do. At 28 or D-line edge rusher, and then second round I would go with another receiver, and then my second pick in the second round I would either go with a tight end because we do need another tight end. DeGuara isn't the answer, and I don't know when Tanyan's going to be back. Tanyan has a bunch of potential, he does, but I don't know when he's going to be healthy coming off of that torn ACL. So I would either go with the tight end or O-line in the second round. So J-Mac, I'll go to you. Like, what do you think they should do?
Well, see, what I think they should do and what they're going to do is going to be two different things, because I can never figure out what in the hell Green Bay is going to do when it comes to
Right.
They're going to draft another quarterback.
I mean, it's possible.
Right.
It's possible at this point, because we never know what the hell we're doing anyway. I do think we need to. I'm never for drafting a receiver in the first round. I never will be. I don't think there hasn't been too many receivers that have ever panned out being drafted in the first round. A few. I didn't say all. I said a few that have panned out, but most don't. And it's because you can get a good receiver in the second round. If we had to go receiver at 22, actually, I go Christian Watson myself.
I like him.
North Dakota State. I think that he's going to be the guy that if we go there. But I also see us taking Zion Johnson, a guard, because that's the Green Bay thing to do, is to take a guard that we don't need.
Right.
And then I guess if we're talking 28, it's tough, but Travis Jones, a nose tackle,
quarterback,
because we've struggled against the run, so we need to bolster up our defensive line. But we need a linebacker, but we won't take one. So
you know what,
I'm not worried about that.
I'm telling you though, like J-Mac on that is not wrong. You know, as us watching the I will say the last like truly good draft picks we have that he was a freaking genius on in the first round was Jair Alexander. That was a brilliant freaking pick when he traded up to actually get Jair. That was brilliant. Like, you got yourself a lockdown corner.
I told you that guy was going to be good.
Yeah, and so Jair, brilliant pick there. Savage was not a horrible pick.
I think we're good. In the defensive backfield. I think we're good. We don't really need anybody there.
No, we definitely don't. But what I'm saying though is the Green Bay way, and I'm not disagreeing with you at all. I'm saying like it could definitely come to like pick 22, 23. I forgot which one we have. I think it's 22. 22. And we could be sitting there being like, okay, a receiver's coming. And then they go and pick 22. They decide to go with Kenny Pickett. And I'll be like, what just happened? Because that's just the way I can see it happening. And then it'll just be another thing of being like, okay, again, we're going to do this again. And then it'd be 28. Somebody would be sitting there, right under us. And then Goot would be like, you know what? Somebody offered us a first round pick for next year. So we're going to go ahead and take that. And we're going to go ahead and move back.
Well, here's what I'll say. Here's why I don't think we should take a receiver in the first round. Because our all-time leader in receptions is Donald Driver. He was picked in the 7th round out of Alcorn State.
Yeah, but the odds of you.
The funny thing about that draft pick came from us for Glenn Milburn.
I'm just saying you can get a good wide receiver after the first round.
Yeah, but we desperately need him right now. But anyways, Messaround. What do you think?
So we don't have any first round picks because of Justin Fields' trade last year.
Oh yeah,
We don't pick until number 39 in the second round, and then we have the 48th pick in the second round from the Chargers for the Clomac trade. From the Bears, I'm going offense. I'm building around Fields. Their defense is going to be okay. It won't be like what's great like it was in years past because they're transitioning from 3-4 to 4-3. But I get Justin Fields more weapons. They haven't done much in the offseason. They signed Pringle and Ecomanius St. Brown from you guys. And
good luck with that.
They need more. They need more.
You're welcome.
So and they got Mooney. So they really don't have a receiver. So the first two picks, I'm going if he's available, like J-Mac said for the Packers, Watson. I really like that guy. His game tape's good. He's a big, fast guy. He's 6'5". He runs a 4.3 40. So if he's there, I'm taking him. If not, I'm taking the best receiver on the board because they need receiver help.
I'm just telling you, you can have fun with EQ. Have fun with him. He's your guys' problem now. He's away from us. So you go ahead and have fun with that. And you tell me when there's 17 games in a season, and you tell me when he plays 4. And that's that.
Right. I heard he's got a lot of injury history with him, and he can never stay healthy. Can't put it together.
That's typically what's going to happen. You have 17 games, and then in the end of the season, you're like, what? This dude played 4? Yep, he played 4.
That's why I'm saying we need to draft receiver help. They need to get Fields some help. They want Fields to be successful. They need to put some players around him that's going to help him shine. And right now, they just don't have that. Also, I would take some linemen too because we need line help desperately too.
All right. So now we can move on a little bit from that because I read a kind of like several mock drafts, and there's actually a lot of mock drafts out there that doesn't even have a quarterback going in the top 10 picks, which would be shocking if that did not happen because you barely ever see a draft where a quarterback does not go in the top 10. But
who in the top 10 is going to pick a quarterback?
Well, there's a few up there that could, like the Lions. They don't really have their quarterback. Jared Goff, I mean, come on. Jared Goff, I don't think is going to be the guy. So I think that they could potentially look at somebody.
Yeah, but if I'm Detroit, I'm like, there's not really a quarterback in this draft. It's going to be a franchise guy. I'm going to run with Goff for one more year.
At least one more year. He can. If you give him an offensive line, he can be a decent gap quarterback until you find your quarterback of the future.
Yeah, but what I'm saying though is that if you see a quarterback this year and the Lions are drafted because they're obviously drafting in the top 10, so you see a quarterback this year, it would not shock me if they drafted one to sit behind Jared Goff and try and learn from Jared Goff. So
I don't know if I want my quarterback learning from Goff.
I don't know if I would want that either. But there's teams in this draft.
You might as well stick with Tim Boyle then.
Well, pick your poison. Do you
want
to
Danucci? Traded for Danucci.
Go.
I mean, pick your poison. Do you want to learn it from Jared Goff or do you want to learn it from Tim Boyle? So
it's rough.
I
would not want to be a Lions fan.
The only teams like that I can truly think of right now. Well, Seattle, they need a quarterback.
Carolina.
I don't think they're.
What are you talking about? Seattle's good. They got Drew Lock. They're fine.
Oh yeah, Drew Lock. He's so great.
yeah. They have Drew Lock. Yeah, they're going a long ways with that. I think New Orleans might consider taking a quarterback because they don't. I know they signed Winston, but I don't know if they're comfortable with that. The Falcons signed Mariota, but they could draft a quarterback.
Pittsburgh.
I'll say I am glad Mariota got a second chance. I think
me too.
I think that he should have gotten another chance after Tennessee. He took him to the playoffs, so it's not like he's a scrub quarterback.
Right.
I hate to say this, but potentially Washington could, because I don't even know if they know what the hell they're doing. Like they traded for Carson Wentz, but who knows? Like Carson Wentz has been going from Philadelphia to the Colts, and now he's in Washington. And who knows? Like Washington be like, okay, we're done with him, so now we're gonna trade him to somewhere else because we're gonna draft a quarterback.
I'll tell you what. Wentz better not do in Washington if he wants to keep his job longer than a year. He better not lose the last game of the year to Jacksonville.
Right.
Right.
Because you remember the Colts owner last year, he's like, all we had to do was beat the freaking Jaguars. That was embarrassing.
Yeah.
That was embarrassing.
And I tell you, I think if the Colts beat the Jags, I don't think Wentz gets traded.
I don't think he does either.
I don't think he gets traded if they beat the Jags. But
what's interesting though is they haven't beat the Jaguars in Jacksonville in like 8 years. I mean, you're talking the worst team in football 2 years in a row.
That's going back to Andrew Luck days. That's crazy.
I know. That's insane. You haven't beat them in Jacksonville in 8 years.
So
Wow.
I
Crazy.
don't know. So is this like a unanimous decision right now that we feel like the number one overall pick is going to be Hutchinson from Michigan?
There's so many ways to go. I heard it was going to be that lineman guy. I can't remember his name, but some lineman was going to go number one. Then Hutchinson or Thibodeau from the Ducks. So who knows until they actually make the pick who it's going to be.
Yeah.
Well, but I'm just saying though, do you predict it's going to be Hutchinson? I think it is because supposedly he's supposed to be like the next like Joey and Nick Bosa. Supposedly that's what they're saying.
But they don't need what they need a solid offensive line. They got to get offensive line. They got what is his name? Cam
Robinson.
Cam Robinson, their left tackle. So they got their left tackle in place. But they need to shore up the rest of the offensive line. Trevor Lawrence is going to be a decent quarterback. I'm not saying he's going to be great. I'm not saying he's going to be awesome. But I think he can win you some games if you give him a good offensive line to stand back there and be able to throw the ball.
Well, yeah, because if they don't figure out their offensive line, he's going to get killed back there. He's going to get killed.
I don't see him taking like a Joe Burrow leap, but I see him getting a lot better than he was last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you got to give the guy a little bit of a break. I mean, Urban Meyer was his freaking coach. Okay?
Right, that's true.
I mean, Urban Meyer didn't even know what the hell he was doing.
No.
So,
well, yeah, because he didn't know half the players in the league.
No.
He didn't know who Aaron Donald was.
He didn't even call him Aaron Donald. He said, "Who's that 99 guy on
the
Rams? Isn't he like 99 on Madden or something like that?" That's who he was talking about with Aaron Donald.
Wow.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he didn't even know who he was.
That's so crazy.
But what's more crazy than that is that Urban Meyer ranks 5th all time in Jacksonville history for wins as a coach. With 2.
Right. What are you gonna do?
So you're getting all Doug Peterson has who's going in with 3 games and he'll be number 4.
Yeah. That's all he's got to do.
If he leads them to the playoffs, he's gonna skyrocket up there. He's gonna skyrocket up that list.
That's just crazy. That's probably the most insane thing I've heard all day.
Right? Yeah, he'll skyrocket up there. All right. So with that, we're actually almost at that time.
By the way, something real funny before we finish. I got to tell you, speaking of that, the last 2 NFL quarterbacks to have a playoff run of 10 plus touchdowns and no interceptions in a playoff. Do you know who it was?
Of what?
10 plus touchdown passes and no interceptions in a playoff run.
Well, 10 plus touchdown passes. I know Joe Flacco was close.
Joe Flacco was 1.
Yeah, I was going to say, I believe one of them was Joe Flacco. And the
Trent
other
Dilfer?
one.
No.
Who?
Dilfer?
Trent Dilfer. No.
No. Dilfer? No. Joe Flacco was definitely one of them. I don't think, let's see, who else was it? I would really have to do. Would the other one surprise me? Because
yes, it would. Because I was surprised because I didn't believe it. I had to look it up to make sure.
Is it Garoppolo?
Because no, definitely not Garoppolo. Because if the other one surprises me, then I'm trying to like run down the list of these quarterbacks that I knew sucked in the playoffs. Eli Manning.
It's Eli Manning.
Wow.
As shocking as that is, that's the last 2 quarterbacks to have 10 plus touchdowns and no picks in a playoff run.
Joe Flacco. I can't believe I got them both right.
The only reason I bring that up is because that means that even a shitty quarterback can have a great run in the playoffs.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. And so that's why when people say, oh, well, the guy has a ring, so he belongs in the hall or something, I'm like, okay, so Trent Dilfer has a ring. Does he belong? Brad Johnson has a freaking ring. I mean, come on, man. Get a grip here. Get a grip.
I mean,
He's
you want to
30
go
years
that
old.
far? Like David Carr has 2 rings.
Jared
Yeah,
Lorenzen,
yeah.
the hefty lefty, has 2 rings.
The hefty lefty. Yeah.
So he has 2 rings, and he's only taken like 2 NFL snaps. So you tell me.
It was fun watching him play arena football, man.
Oh yeah.
He's back there.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about this guy playing quarterback running at you at 350 pounds. Guess what? I ain't trying to stop him.
No, I ain't getting in his way. Business, total business decision. I'm running the other way.
Right?
Well, it's definitely at that time now. So J-Mac, you can kind of give your final thoughts.
Some great stuff coming up. You saw the OVW tonight. That's going to be on Thursdays. Tomorrow we got the Four Bros radio show. I'll have a new episode there. Saturday, 6 p.m. I believe we worked out the kinks, but I promise you we will have some sort of women's football on Saturday night. We'll probably have to go up there, stream, share it, but we will figure it out. We will be here with the Women's Football League, the Oregon Cougars. They changed the place they're playing. They're actually playing Cottage Grove, not Crow High School now. That's fine. So Cottage Grove High School, 6 o'clock Saturday night, we will have the Oregon women's football team live on Coast to Coast Entertainment Network.
All right, and then Messaround. How about you?
You know, I'm just so glad we brought this show back. I love this show. I miss it. This is like the first show we ever did together, and I'm glad we've revitalized it, and it's just awesome.
Like 8 years ago.
Yeah.
We were all young and dumb then.
Yep.
You know?
I mean, we're so
Yeah,
dumb.
it was a long time ago. But we're back. We're more knowledgeable now. And
A little bit.
we're definitely back. And yeah, but back then we only talked about NFL. Now we talk about everything. So
Right.
So with that, we do want to thank everybody for watching. Tomorrow night, you can catch an episode of Four Bros, so don't miss that. Like you said, on Saturday you can catch the women's football, and then Sunday you should be able to watch Sunday Spin and then another episode of Between the Ropes. So with that, we hope everybody has a fantastic night, and we will see you next Thursday for another episode of Biggie, Skinny, and Messaround. Have a great night.